$36 every month, and then they bill quarterly to like 3 times that amount.
Okay, easy 3 times.
Oh, what page is it? Let me see.
Why are you asking? And now they went to 90.
Yeah, it's crazy how they'll do that too. Yeah, because I moved to Sugarmill and Waste Management down there, they pick up for me again, and then they're only like $36 a month. It's kind of like they're just being real.
Still makes it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, you could only
It's much less than it was though.
Okay, it's on pickup.
One pickup. One pickup, and it includes recycling.
They want to absorb it.
Yeah. They lose money on recycling.
I understand that.
It's kind of like recycling is just a thing that they do now because of the people that want it to be done, but they don't really make any money on it.
How are you? Welcome back.
Well, they were
Everybody
sending
ready?
all the glass to China, and then China stopped buying it.
Good morning. This is the Citrus County Planning and Development Commission public hearing for January 4th, 2024. Happy New Year. Application PUD 2023-00010 postponed for today and will be heard in the first week of February. So if anyone was here regarding that matter, I just wanted to say that up front. If you would like to join us at this time, I invite you to please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Lord, please give us the grace to be understanding, patient, and tolerant. With these attributes, we can conduct our work in a manner which will be pleasing to Thee, our county, and its residents. Also, we pray for our fellow board member and friend, Rick Barmez, who is dealing with some health issues, and we hope for his full recovery and for his health to get better very soon. In the Lord's name, amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the courtesy of the applicants, the board members, and those around you, please silence any devices at this time. May we please have the roll call?
The following Planning and Development Commission members are present. First Chair, Stacy Worthington. Second Vice Chair, James Royce, Robert Bass, David Bramblett, Michael Facemeyer, Kurt Stone, and alternate Carol Scragg.
Thank you. If any person decides to appeal any decision made by the commission with respect to any matter considered at this hearing, he or she will need a record of the proceedings, and for such purpose, he or she may need to ensure that a verbatim record of the proceedings is made, which record includes testimony and evidence upon which the appeal is to be based. During the public input portions of the meetings, individuals are given 3 minutes and representatives of an organization are given 5 minutes. When anyone wishing to speak comes to the podium, please complete a yellow form and hand it to the recording secretary. Please print your name, address, and the number of the application for which you are speaking on the form. The yellow forms can be found at the podium by the door. If representing an organization, the letter of authorization must accompany the speaker or be on file. Comments will be limited to the topic being heard. Please state your name and give your address for the taped record. At this time, we'll have open to the public. This is any matters you'd like to bring before the commission, not specifically pertaining to the applications we'll hear today. Anyone? Going once? This is just non-specific to the applications, but if you have comments for the Planning and Development Commission. Can you come up to the podium, state your name, please?
He's holding the.
Something was postponed until February at the very beginning?
Yeah, that was what were they calling that?
Yeah, he's
Village.
for CR 491 Retail Village, he's holding the locator map for Citrus Hills, Hampton Hills, and that still is on the agenda. That'll be discussed later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See it in your hand.
Thank you, Joanna. Anyone else going once, twice? Seeing none, we'll close open to the public. We have minutes to approve.
I move we approve the minutes of September 7th, 2023, and October 5th, 2023.
Thank you, Commissioner Facemeyer. Will you please talk into your microphone going forward? We have a first by Commissioner Facemeyer.
Second.
A second by Commissioner Bass. Any further discussion?
Madam Chair, I have one comment.
Yes, Commissioner Bass.
On the October 5th meeting on page 5, in the section that says Commission Questions, in the third line, 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth word, instead of being floor, should be flood. Thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Facemeyer, your motion with the changes?
I'm fine.
Okay, and the second is
Yes.
good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 1, 2, 7-0. Okay, do we have any staff announcements?
Mr. Landon, I don't know if you want to update them on the tablets or anything else you want to say first. I'll default to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't know if I'm on or not. But we're working diligently to get you tablets as soon as possible so that you'll have this instead of a 3-ring binder, hopefully within the next 60 days.
Sounds good. Thank you. Anything else, Joanna?
At the end of the meeting, thank you very much.
Thank you. Ex parte?
And in the absence of the county attorney, we'll go ahead and ask if any of the board members had any ex parte communications for any of the applications to be heard today, and we'll start with Mr. Bass.
None.
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 Site visits.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll have the introduction for V 2023-00005. And if the applicant is present, Mr. Rose, if you will come to the podium.
Hi, my name is
Oh,
Dave.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yes, this is application V 2023-00005, Dave and Darlene Rose. This is the locator map showing the subject property shaded in gray. This is looking north on West Marker Path. The subject property is located at 10671 West Marker Path. This is looking south on West Marker Path. This is looking east on West Marker Path. This is looking west on West Marker Path. And this is the survey of the property. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Hi, my name is Dave Rose. This is my wife, Darlene. Been married for half a century. Anyway, what we're asking for is we're from Minnesota and we like to move down here. And for our setbacks, we're applying for that we won't affect the wetland at all, but we'd like the setback to be 15 feet from the wetland, and that requires a variance or whatever you guys want to. We want to build within 15 feet of the wetland is what we're asking for, instead of the standard, I think, is 35. There's homes on each side of us, well, all around us, actually, on both sides, and then behind us also. And the only way we can build on the lot is if you have the 35-foot setback, the house would only be like 4 feet wide. You know what I mean? So we're asking just to be closer to the wetland than what's the standard.
Thank you. Does that conclude your presentation to the board?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Do we have any questions for the applicant from staff?
Yes, Mr. Rose, have you been able to look at the conditions proposed by staff for this?
I'm sorry?
Have you been able to look at the conditions proposed by staff that are in the staff report?
Yes, I looked everything over pretty much.
Okay, do you have any issue with those conditions?
can't, to be honest with you, I can't. What were the can you give me, what were some of the conditions? I thought it was,
I have it if you want.
oh, okay. No, that's fine, yeah.
No more questions?
Thank you. Board, do you have any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Stone,
Mr.
get the
Rose,
microphone.
Mr. Rose, when did you acquire this property?
I'm sorry?
Mr. Rose, when did you acquire this property?
About a year ago.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm
Any
sorry,
other-
I have a hearing problem, disabled vet, so that's, I'm having trouble hearing. Okay.
Does the board have any for, Commissioner Facemeyer?
Mr. Rose, when you acquired this property and when you were thinking about acquiring this property, were you aware that the previous owner had violations on this property?
No,
Thank you.
Any other questions, board? Okay, Mr. Rose, I'm seeing no more questions from the board, so we'll hear from staff at this time. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay, may we have the staff presentation?
Good morning, Melissa Morris, planner.
Good morning.
While she's queuing up, I'll go ahead and start. The property is in the coastal high hazard area and within a coastal A flood zone. It has a base flood elevation of 11 feet, and the prior owner did receive an after-the-fact mitigation permit from both Citrus County and the Florida Department of Environmental Protection after placing legal fill on the parcel. The mitigation has created a small upland area for a home site. The current owner is requesting a variance to use that mitigated area for a 12-foot by 24-foot single-family home. Let's see. So this is the subject property. This is the house directly across the street to the south. The house, let's see, this would be to the east. This is the residence to the west. This is from the property looking north towards, or looking south towards the road. This is looking south towards the canal. There's the dock. And then this is the survey and wetland delineation lines that were provided with the application. The survey submitted does not show the measurements of the mitigated area. It does not show the 35 or the 15-foot wetland setback or a mean high water line. Upon a site visit, it did appear to be no buildable area without a variance due to overlapping setbacks. And I would just like to state that the LDC does allow a minimum 15-foot wetland setback with a variance, and that could avoid further mitigation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, does the applicant have any questions for staff? Okay, thank you. Board? Anyone have any questions? Microphone?
When a developer lays out his plots, is that any guarantee that the lot is buildable?
This is a very, very old, Homosassa Town Plat in 1886, so absolutely not. Correct.
So there's no guarantee that,
Absolutely not.
that,
Nowadays, yes, when we plat lots, we do require them to demonstrate they can be buildable. So
Right.
sometimes that requires larger. In the 1880s, whatever went.
right, okay, so that was what, 30-some odd years ago?
1880.
1880. I
I'm
see.
old, but not that old.
Right. All right, thank you.
Anyone else? I have a question for you. I just want to understand. So what you're saying is they brought the fill in, and so there is a small upland area where a a home could be built, but they're asking for something bigger than that, and that also that space would not be able to be built upon without, either way, without the variance.
Yeah, it would not be allowed to be built upon either way without a variance. They're just asking to use the already mitigated area to build upon.
Are they asking to build on that space, or are they asking for more than what is?
No,
Okay.
no, ma'am.
Okay, all right.
Can you define mitigated?
Mitigated, that is where you bring in fill and rise it above the wetland.
Does that mean that there's any, because in my experience with mitigation, you're dealing with the DEP and the Army Corps of
Yes.
Engineers, and
Yes.
you purchase property elsewhere that is wetlands dedicated to conservation type uses, and then you're allowed to utilize your wetland area, which is what it typically is, and this particular parcel is as well.
Yes, the previous owner had received a code case for illegal fill, and he went through the proper channels after he mitigated and did get a Florida DEP permit for what was mitigated.
Thank you.
I have a question, but that site was not approved for development at that time, was just mitigated, and Florida DEP said, yes, we're acceptable with what you have placed for fill and the boundaries of it.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm seeing none. Thank you. At this time, we will open the public portion of the meeting. If there is anyone present who wishes to offer comment on the application, please come forward to the podium. As a reminder, individuals have 3 minutes to speak and members of an organization 5 minutes. When you are speaking on this application, please address the board. If you have any documents you want to be entered into the record, please provide a copy to the recording secretary. Would anyone like to speak on the application? Please come to the podium. Anyone? Going once? Twice? Seeing none. Now we will close the public portion of the meeting and bring the discussion back to the board.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir. Commissioner Bass.
reviewing the comments that were put together by our staff, it appears that quite a bit of the site does not meet our requirements for setbacks. It's in the coastal A zone, which needs special requirements also. I will not be supporting this application.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I would agree. The application is both non-consistent with the Land Development Code based on the coastal A, and also the policy 1741, 1791 of the comprehensive plan.
Thank you, Commissioner Bramlett. Commissioner Scragg? Can you speak in your microphone?
The
Thank you.
proposed findings of fact, and I find that most of them agree that you could not build without the 15-foot, and that nothing else would be able to be built unless they have a variance of 15 feet. So I'm in favor of the variance.
Thank you. Anyone else have comment or a motion?
Madam Chair, for a motion, the Planning and Development Commission finds application number V-2023-00005 inconsistent with the Citrus County Land Development Code and is not in keeping with the intent of the policies of the Citrus County Comprehensive Plan, and this board denies the application based upon the evidence and testimony presented in the staff report and conclusion regarding this petition.
Thank you. We have a first by Commissioner Bass, a second by Commissioner Facemeyer. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Motion carries 6-1. Thank you. Okay, may we have the introduction for V 2023-00006? And if Mr. Lyons wants to come to the podium.
This is application V 2023-00006, Robert Lyons.
Thank you for seeing us. I'm Robert Lyons. My wife Heather's back there.
Is that all you had, Cheryl?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry, she's not done.
Hang on just a second. You'll get your chance. She's got to finish up first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't-
You're fine. You're fine.
Go ahead.
This is a variance for a reduction of rear setbacks. This is looking west on West Pensman Court. This is looking east on West Pensman Court. And this picture shows the proposed drawing site plan as submitted by the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Lyons, please.
I apologize. As I said, I'm Robert, my wife Heather's back there. After entertaining ideas of changing the size of structures and locations of what we intended to do, we've been ultimately brought to this, to propose this to you guys. But we're wanting to build a screen house that would hold a therapy pool for my wife. She was in a horrific car accident since 2007. It's incurable for her, so we're trying to keep things, well, anyway, we're requesting for the variance for the screen house that will house the pool, the therapy pool. Her doctors have, we used to have a house where we've had a pool that was prescribed for this for her. We sold late 2022, so we've been trying to bring that back, you know, for her, for that. And we have an updated prescription. If you guys need to see that, we have a copy. The hardship we're having is that we have irregular property lines. It's making it really hard to kind of house a suitable structure for this pool at any part of our property. This is the site plan we have is about the least encroaching of any easement or setback. Anywhere else, it's going in the neighbor's property lines, in the easements. We just, as this is the only one we could come up with that we could work with. We've had 2 engineers come out also to look at it, see what they could help come up with, and again, it's back to this. So that's what our request is for you. Yeah, that's pretty much what we have for you.
Okay, thank you very much. Does staff have any questions for the applicant?
Not at this time, thank you.
Thank you. Board, do you have any questions for the applicant? I have one.
Okay.
When I'm looking at the design, it looks like you have just a sliver of a corner that's, you know, encroaching on the setback.
Right.
Why couldn't you adapt
You mean? come
adapt
along
your
with the
design to
encroachment?
meet the setback? I mean, it looks like just a sliver of concrete that's encroaching on the setback.
Yeah, we calculated about 7% of it actually went into it. As design purposes, I guess that's well, if you look at on the pool section side, I guess that's how we got into it, because it's right there, it's just at it, and we're trying to keep the pool within guidelines of the screen enclosure itself. You know, to where it's not touching the screen house or anything like that.
Okay.
The pool, it's got treadmills inside of it that were intended to do to help with her therapy, you know, and stuff like that. That's kind of one of the reasons why it's, you know, it's the only type we can get to that would house this for her.
Okay. All right.
So I'm sorry, yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm seeing none. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
May we have the staff presentation?
Good morning, Stephanie Stevens, planner.
Good morning.
This is a request for a 10-foot setback to the rear property line for a screen enclosure with a pool. The property is located in Beverly Hills in the Planned Development Residential District.
I'm trying to get there, Stephanie.
It's okay.
technical help is on the way, and we will resume in just a second.
This is an aerial view of the property outlined in yellow using our GIS mapping. This slide shows the west side of the property from West Pensman Court, which is where the proposed project will extend from the house. This slide shows the rear portion of the property, which is where the proposed structure will go. This is a look at the proposed site plan showing the rear property has a 15-foot setback requirement that includes an 8-foot utility easement per Beverly Hills Master Plan and the Beverly Hills Unit 8 Phase 2 plat.
Is that it?
That's all I have.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Sorry.
Thank you. All right, thanks. Does the applicant have any questions for staff? Okay, and board, do you have any questions for staff? I'm not seeing any.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we'll open the public portion of the meeting. If anyone is present who wishes to comment on the application, please come forward to the podium. As a reminder, individuals have 3 minutes to speak, and members of an organization will have 5 minutes. When speaking on this application, please address the board. If you have any documents you want to be entered into the record, please provide a copy to the recording secretary. Yes, sir.
Morning. I'm Michael Reichert. My wife here is Michelle Reichert. We own the land directly beside Mr. Robert Lyons. And we don't have an objection to him putting the pool in. Our objection is with his attitude recently. We put a fence on along the fence line. I actually have a meeting with Mr. Landon tomorrow about some issues with staff here and how they misled us in putting a fence on that property line. Since then, Mr. Lyons has been kind of negative with us since we put the fence up. We put the fence up so we could have dogs, have some freedom. Okay, like I said, we have a meeting with Mr. Landon tomorrow. We don't have an objection. We were actually pretty cordial, Mr. Lyons, up until recently, where he went around and talked about our fence and was being very negative with other citizens in the area. Like I said, we don't have an objection, but I'm putting this on record. He's not going to gain access through our property to bring a truck to pour his concrete. He can go from another property. He can go to another neighbor. He moved the fence the other day because I put a complaint in, because his fence is on the property line as well. So he's got his fence now taken down. He can ask his rear neighbor, but I'm just making it clear that if there's a concrete truck that drives on my property to get to the access to pour the pool, I'll be calling the police. Other than that, I have no objection to this. He can have the pool. I support his wife. I support everything he needs to do for this. He's only asking for a little bit of the easement. I don't see a big issue with it. My issue is with him personally and how he's addressed me and my family recently because of a fence that I put up to protect my dogs, and how I was misled by members of this community and this organization when I put that fence up back in September. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir.
Take that.
Would anyone else like to speak on this application? Please come to the podium. Anyone? Going once, twice, seeing none. We will return now. We'll close the public portion of the meeting. Sir, do you have any rebuttal? Mr. Lyons? Okay, thank you. And now we'll bring the discussion back to the board. Anyone want to start?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Bass?
I'm sorry to hear that this gentleman's wife has issues and that a pool will help her, but I think that the layout of the site, there could be modifications could be made to how the pool is laid on the property, as well as the shape of the enclosure. It also looks like there might be the ability to put something on the east side. Based on the comments or the report prepared by our staff, which are all on the negative side, I will not be supporting this variance.
Thank you, Commissioner Bass.
Yeah, I would agree. We've had experience out in this Beverly Hills area before. The property lines are already very tight out there. I would commend Mr. Lyons for at least coming in and asking for the permission to go within the easement, because I know that we've had a couple of them come in front of us that were after the fact, where people put porches and screened-in areas, and I don't know if we've had a pool out there or not, but trying to get after the facts, and I know that they were denied. And we're not denying it based on, not caring about the applicant's wife's needs, but I would agree with Mr. Bass that I believe that there is some reconfiguration that might be possible, or a relocation. So I am not in favor of this application.
Thank you, Commissioner Bramlett. Anyone else have comment? Mr. Lyons, I also would like to say that I'm very sympathetic to your wife's needs, but 100% agree with Commissioner Bass and Bramlett that I believe that site can be adapted to fit within the setbacks that are set forward, and so I would not be in favor of this application either. And with that, if anyone else has any comment or a motion,
Madam Chair, for a motion.
Commissioner Bass.
The Planning and Development Commission finds application number V 2023-0006 inconsistent with the Citrus County Land Development Code and is not in keeping with the intent of the policies of the Citrus County Comprehensive Plan, and that this board denies the application based upon the evidence and testimony presented in the staff report and conclusions regarding this petition.
Thank you. We have first by Commissioner Bass.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bramlett. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Okay. Sir, I'm sorry. No. I'm you, well, here's what I can offer you is that staff can get with you. We're going to proceed with our
We have a
hearing.
meeting with him tomorrow.
Okay, all right, very good. Thank you. Okay, at this time, may we have the introduction for PUD-2023-00012, Hampton Hills.
Yes, this application is PUD 2023-00012, Citrus Hills Investment Properties. This application proposes to allow single-family residential development of up to 8 dwelling units per acre in the MDR district. The site contains approximately 24 acres and is currently accessed by South Scarborough Avenue in Lecanto. The site has an MDR-MH designation and abuts an undeveloped part of the Citrus Hills development of regional impact to the north. This is a photo of the interior of the site. There is one residence which will be removed, and the rest of the site is vacant. This is the view north and south on South Scarborough Avenue in this residential area. The application proposes to access the site to the north from Citrus Hills rather than from the existing roadways, and place an 8-foot wall or fence around the entire PUD site. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone here who is speaking on the application? Yes, please come to the podium.
Yes, hi. My name is Eric Abel. I'm Vice President of Hampton Hills LLC. Is actually the applicant, but we are an affiliate or subsidiary of Citrus Hills Investment Properties.
That was a typo. I apologize for that on the PowerPoint.
And I know you do because the report was nice, by the way. I don't have much to add. I want you to know that I'm here. We're obviously strong proponents of this. We try to do everything right. I'm very pleased. I've read the report by staff. I think they did a great job reviewing, analyzing, and I'm content with the conditions that they have put in the report. If there are any questions for me, I'll be available as well.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Abel, we do have some public here that may be wondering what you're doing. Can you talk about what kind of product you're trying to put here?
Sure. Well, as a developer, now a long time, 30-plus years, we are trying, there's a large DRI, Development of Regional Impact, which is known as Terra Vista, probably what you know right now, but that expands over west and southwest of where we are today, all the way to 491. And that is this area. We had expanded the area by purchasing some of this land in the area, this 24 acres per se. And it is our attempt to improve this property and make it, it's a beautiful property. Layout, it's MDR, currently scheduled for MDR, medium density residential with mobile homes. We want to eliminate the mobile homes and bring it with internal water and sewer and roads and make it improvement and ultimately connect it to the DRI, which is just north. And that's where its access would be. Should be an upscale as far as taxes for the county, and ultimately, I think a good thing for the neighbors and neighborhood.
Thank you. Nothing else?
Thank you. Okay, did you have any other
Nothing
questions
else,
for the
thank
applicant? Okay. Board, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I have a couple questions.
Yes, Commissioner Bass.
On Lot C, you have not started work on that yet, and this parcel will be,
Parcel C of the DRI? Is that what
Yes.
you're, okay, I'm with you.
and you're looking to have this become part of parcel C, and you are asking for a 10-year time frame for this approval. How does that fit in with parcel C when you haven't started parcel C yet? Should a longer request be made for the time to complete?
No, we feel confident we'll have this started within the 10-year period and probably within 3 years have a submitted site plan. We have to forecast Terra Vista itself, as you know it today, parcel B, if you're familiar with the area, and the DRI. Parcel B is about 90% built out right now, and that next construction phase starts now, design and thinking about it, and ultimately turning dirt probably within the year in parcel C if all goes according to our plan.
Also, in a letter from Mr. Moses, he said that the minimum setback requirement for swimming pools, we're proposing a 0-foot setback for swimming pools from the rear lot line only. So as I read that, you could have two homes back-to-back with pools back-to-back by having a 0 offset for the property line. That, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. You have no way for either person to maintain their pool, or you may end up with someone on the other person's property if the survey may have a small error in it. So I don't understand why you would want a 0.
Fully agree with the concept and the question. The reality is, as a developer, we want to ask for that maximum flexibility. The most likely use of that condition would be as against the actual exterior property boundary. On the interior lots, when the site plan is ultimately submitted, you will see some lots back-to-back, as you just suggested. But for the most part, the lots will go the perimeter of the 24-acre site. And to the extent it goes back to a fence line, which we've asked for as well, we want it to be able to go right to the fence line. It shouldn't impact any neighbor behind those properties because of the 8-foot fence.
Yep.
And the interior portions where they do go back-to-back, we might either put in landscaping to a 0 lot line or just not go to 0 on those lots.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. It would be spelled out clearly as well before we ever sold the property, the conditions.
Thank you. Any other questions? Commissioner Facemeyer.
Eric, with regard to Commissioner Bass's questioning on the 0 setback, and you indicated this would basically be an extension of Terra Vista at some point. Does this condition exist in Terra Vista now?
Yes. Yes, we have areas where we've asked for similar. Hunt Club is an example of something we've done that in, if you're familiar with all the subdivisions. But yes, there are portions of parcel B which currently include the 0 rear lot line. And it functions very well.
Yeah. No, I'm curious. It's just, when you see zero setback, it kind of raises a flag. Not necessarily a red flag, but a flag.
Understood.
Thank you. Any other questions? Commissioner Brammer?
I would just want to make a comment while we have the applicant in front of us and give him the respect. I think you guys do good projects. I just want to let you know while you're in front of me that I'm not in favor of this project. I don't think that the word I'm going to use is kind of a little finger, just sticking out another little finger. You guys have found 24 acres that's adjacent to your DRI. Everyone knows Terra Vista is getting built out. Everybody's looking for property in the county. I don't think that it fits. I don't think it's compatible, and I think the fact that you need to put a wall around it makes me understand that you guys don't think it's really as compatible with that area as well, so I'm not in favor of this project.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, not seeing anyone. Thank you. Now we'll have the staff presentation.
All right, so this is 24 acres. It is currently zoned, as you'd heard, medium-density residential with, and they're trying to go to medium-density residential with a PUD. It does have a mobile home designation currently. Finger description is certainly apt for the shape of it. I do agree with that. I did want to point out on this map, across Scarborough, those very tiny lots, those are 1/10 of an acre. So you're not going to hear me endorse higher densities too often up here, but clearly there is some high density in the area, but not completely. So this is an aerial of the site. You can see some of it is developed, some is undeveloped. If any of you did site visits and you were able to find South Access Point, you are better than I am because I couldn't. Utility truck did find it for me. It's fenced off by someone, so it doesn't run north-south like that in reality. It is a private road. South Scarborough is a county road. Now, this application would access through Terra Vista and would take off traffic from Scarborough. It would not be accessing that at all. May provide an emergency access, but that would only be if required by engineering. So I wanted to show the adjacent parcel C. This particular area is right here. Parcel C is a conceptual, so basically it just says residential in that area, and it can be residential. You'll see in the staff report that they have interchangeability in Terra Vista. They can do single-family or multifamily adjacent to this. So they can go as high as 12 or even 20 units an acre adjacent to this, and that's previously approved. Now, just a little reason why this is before you, the legislature has taken out the ability to expand DRIs. DRIs were put in many years ago by the state to say that development is so large it's going to impact the region, perhaps another jurisdiction. The legislation has changed that. They've thrown it back to the counties to regulate and not the state anymore and not the regional planning councils. But they also took out an ability to create new ones, and they took out the ability to expand. They did very much make it easy to abandon them if you want to. I don't know why someone would. There's a lot of entitlements, but I know there's some jurisdictions with a lot of really tough constraints in DRIs. Ours are more accommodating, I think. There's a lot of entitlements. Mr. Abel was a bit modest on this. You talked about, you said 90% of Parcel B. They have met with us. We do know that Parcel C is coming. I wouldn't be surprised to see plats for Parcel C start this year and rooftops most likely next year or maybe earlier. So Parcel C, Mr. Bass is correct. It's not developed yet, but it is coming. I also wanted to point out, address another question with the 0-foot pool setback. Mr. Facemeyer is correct. I have a table in the staff report on page 3. Within the DRI, there is a 0-foot rear setback in Citrus Hills, Terra Vista, period. Not just for pools, but for anything. This particular application proposed 0 for pools, but 5 foot for everything else. That's actually more that's in Terra Vista right now. So this is just a diagram. It's not actually a layout of lots. Yes, they would absolutely have to develop the adjacent area because that is their access point. That's why they're doing 10 years. I think 10 years is probably, at the rate they build, probably a little ambitious. Not ambitious, slow. I think they'll be much sooner than that. So when they develop the adjacent area, they want to develop this area. They are asking for an increased density, but it's not increased any more than the medium density residential would be for central water and sewer. Central water and sewer is not in this area right now. That would have to be run through Parcel C down to this site. The wall and the fence are to address compatibility, but I actually support the not accessing Scarborough Avenue. That is a good thing. I think Mr. Abel did misspeak a little bit, the area, to improve the area. I think it's a very beautiful area when you go back there. Suddenly you're in very much a rural, pretty atmosphere you would not expect. It comes out at the end of Scarborough, so if you have a chance to go down there, it's very pretty. This particular property is entirely vacant with the house. So there are conditions of approval. This would not technically add it to the DRI because we can't do that, but the conditions are very similar. So with the conditions in place, each lot would have 4,000 square feet minimum and 40 feet. That is typical of what we see for PUDs. The access would be solely from the Citrus Hills DRI to the north and not at all for Scarborough or Access Point. Central water and sewer, there would be an 8-foot wall or opaque fence around the perimeter at the time of plating. And we've talked about the setbacks just a little bit. We do have the tree standards that would be met with Citrus Hills DRI, similar to that, stormwater as well. And they are asking for a 10-year time frame. Again, I think that's probably not necessary quite that extent. They're pretty fast. And that's it. Questions?
Are there any questions from the applicant? Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board?
I have a
Commissioner
question.
Scragg.
Yes, ma'am.
On your recommendation for approval with the setbacks, can that be changed so that, or explained, it says front 15 feet, in parentheses, 10 feet, second front. I'm not sure what that means.
That's for corner lots. So if you're in a corner lot within Citrus Hills right now, you can go 15 feet for your main front entrance. But if you're on a corner, that corner side can go down to 10.
Okay,
And this is asking for the same.
okay. And if there's changed and we don't do a zero, can that be approved with a change?
You have the flexibility to recommend anything that you'd like.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Lydia,
Yes, Commissioner
would
Royce.
Scarborough Road remain open?
Yes, Scarborough would not be impacted at all by this application, other than, as I said, engineering might want an emergency gate there, but I don't expect that to happen, maybe.
So there would be a wall or fence on the west side of Scarborough?
Yes, and also an axis, which technically is there, but not there on the east, on the west side, correct?
And would the emergency entrance access an interior road in this property?
They would be going to Citrus Hills DRI, yes. Yes, so the residents in there, if they have 75 or more lots, they're going to need 2 ways out, so that would trigger that. I don't know how many lots they're actually going to be able to fit here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Joanna, I just have one.
Sure.
You know, if you could talk about medium-density residential, because what I see here is, you know, compatibility. Everyone's talking about compatibility. We have, I guess, what looks like medium-density residential along Scarborough, and then the vacant lots that are zoned medium-density residential abutting, but there's a couple that are not. Along the top there, you know, looking at 14410, which is vacant. You know, so there are a couple that are not, but can you explain it mostly for the audience?
Yeah, no problem. So medium-density residential can actually go down to half-acre lots if you've got the road frontage. This is like I said, when you drive back there, it's a very rural area. You get a rural impression. So I think MDR is probably not the perfect zoning for here. Probably low density because of how it's laid out, with the exception of that subdivision on the east side, which of course is very small lots. It almost looks like a mobile home park, and it's not. They are individual lots of record, but it's not fully developed. These lots could subdivide off of Scarborough if they wanted to down to half acre. Medium density, usually at 1 acre to 2 acres. These are a little bigger.
When you say it's probably not, but it is zoned.
It is zoned medium,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. Zoned medium density residential throughout. You can see that in every direction with the exception of Citrus Hills to the north, yes. And medium density residential can allow half acre lots at the smallest without a PUD.
All right, very good, thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Commissioner Facemeyer?
In the application, it indicates that the applicant's willing to put a wall or a fence around the perimeter. This board has had extensive discussions about buffers, walls, and fences, and I think we ought to be pretty clear if we approve this, whether it's a wall or a fence. Yeah. So I'm anxious to hear from the public, to see what they may have to say before we make that decision, but I think we need to consider that.
Good point.
Very good. Anyone else? Okay, Joanna, I'm not seeing anybody. Thank you. The public portion of the meeting will now be opened. If there is anyone present who wishes to offer comment on the application, please come forward to the podium. As a reminder, individuals are given 3 minutes to speak and members of an organization 5 minutes. When speaking on this application, please address the board. If you have any documents you want to be entered into the record, please provide a copy to the recording secretary. At this time, anyone wants to speak, come forward. Yes, sir.
I'm right, I'm a resident in the area affected.
Can you have your address, please?
15 South Scarborough. I'm at the my number on the plan up here is 14444. Your fence, sir, is going to be right next
Sir,
to
can
my
you
house.
address the board?
It's going to be 12.5 feet away from my roof. Now, I'm a retired firefighter. I know how these games are played. I work down in Naples. I'm a fire inspector. I've seen development come into Naples and completely change it, absolutely change it. And this little thing here that they want to do, putting this fence in, and what's the definition of an opaque fence?
This is your opportunity to address the board. We'll answer questions after.
Yeah, I want to know what an opaque
We're
fence
not,
is.
we're not going to answer any questions. After, we'll.
Okay, I'm concerned about the fence.
Okay.
Okay, I'm in touch with the neighbor across, 4440, 4110. The Longs, they're concerned. Recently, there's a kind of a asphalt road that came through there, never finished, so I don't know how you're gonna bring in trucks or anything to do any kind of, construction work. But I'm concerned about the fence, the density. Now, I have an acre. You want to put how many units? 8 units on an acre is what's proposed. How tall are these structures? And again, zero lot line. It seems like some people get variances and individual property owners don't get variances. I understand it with the larger PUDs because they own all of it and they can divide it up as you wish, but coming into this little neighborhood, taking away all the trees, turtles, everything that lives back in there is a little disturbing. I moved up here to be at the end of the road where nobody is. I worked as a firefighter for 23 years. Don't really like people because they can't get out of their own way. And this is changing everything. And I don't think it's going to increase my property value. But I'm curious about that fence.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak on the application?
I'm Ray Rhodes, and this is Shannon Swack. We live at 361 South Scarborough, right at the beginning where all the small lots are, the quarter-acre lots, right at the entrance where the proposed property is
South
supposed to
Saginaw.
start. At South Saginaw, we live right there on the corner. We bought this property 5 years ago. We paid $20,000 for it. It was a complete rehab. We fought for 5 years to remodel this place. And I see on your wall it says a welcoming, economically vibrant community where people and nature live in harmony. If there is all these houses put in and this wall put up, there will be no nature. All the birds, squirrels, rats, everything that they remove out there will run across the street to all the houses. We have to deal with this every time anybody moves in and out. We have renters on each side of us. When they move out, all the roaches and rats come to our house. So for sure, when you start tearing down all the trees and everything in there, it's going to move. And we know for the lot that's right there, QA and CQB, those lots have tremendous amounts of gopher turtles on them. We see them every single day. So you've got to know that all those lots right there are full of gopher turtles. So all those have to be removed. So it's definitely going to destroy the nature. It's not going to make the property value up any at all. If anything, we moved in 5 years ago. Our taxes were $77 a year. Do you know what they are now in 5 years? They're $1,025. So what is this going to do? It's not going to drive our property value up. We live in a mobile home. It can't go up any much more. It's going to bring it down, and it's going to make our taxes go up. We fought hard to have the little piece of American dream that we have. We paid for our place. We remodeled it board by board. Even the owner come back and tried to steal it from us this beginning of the year, and we had to fight through that and hire an attorney when we didn't have money. And now we couldn't even sell it with a 10-year plan and a wall. Nobody would want to wake up every day and open your windows and there's a wall, a fence, construction, people in and out. I've built houses since I was 14 years old. I know what the deal is. There will be a rear entrance to this. Has to be an emergency entrance or a construction entrance to come in and out of this plaza. That means Scarborough because there's no other way in. So I don't think this is a good idea for anybody in that area. And if you change it, what's going to happen to these mobile homes? Eventually, they're going to want to try and change that too. So where does that leave us? the people that do have mobile homes. It's a modular home, but it's our home, and we'd like to keep the woods and the peace and the quiet and not listen for 10 years to hammering, banging, nail guns, people fighting with each other, trucks over the side of that wall. No matter how high you put the wall, the sound's gonna be there, the noise is gonna be there, the damage is gonna be done to the land. City water, sewage in there, we're on well and septic. What's that gonna do to us? Are they gonna force us to go to city sewer and water? So I think this is a bad idea for the community and everybody here. That's all we have to say.
Thank you. Okay, we'll have no clapping, but thank you.
We can't help ourselves but
Yeah.
clap. I look out here and I say, my name's Jesse Rumson, by the way, 135 Scarborough. I'm right on the end of Nyoka there, the non-existent paper road that is just on the maps. I've lived here since 1989, and this has been a beautiful, tight-knit community. I look out at these people here and I see my neighbors, and I see people who are concerned about this not fitting into our community. The gopher turtles was one of my major things. We have gopher turtles, we have little foxes, we have incredible nature here in the Nature Coast that we'd like to preserve. This whole community, this whole Citrus County has just been developing one lot after another, taking away more and more of our green spaces, and to see that they want to put a giant wall all the way down the street where there's no access for any of this wildlife to go, where it's an eyesore for everyone that lives there. Everybody absolutely loves the wildlife, the trees, the nature, living in this county, and to see it change at this high of a density. I mean, to see it go from one house to what's 9 now, what's going to be 14 later, which is going to be streets coming through, which is going to be pools, which is going to be city water, city septic. Like they said in the last two people, these are all well houses, these are all little septic systems, these are all a personal, tight-knit community where everybody knows each other on Scarborough. And to see things change would just break my heart. So I'd love to see if we're going to build there, I'd like to see a development plan already laid out for how many houses they want to do. I want to see everything that they planned, all the streets they want to put through there before we agree to anything with this board. So I'd like to thank you all for hearing me, and hopefully we make the right decision here. And this is definitely a finger that is unnecessary.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker.
Yes, my name is Stephen Sams. I live at 183 South Scarborough. The one issue I have is they talk about the density, and if you take a look at Scarborough, you have that first street where the one gentleman was on Saginaw. Then there's that second block where you have all those lots. There's only 9 homes on that lot. That entire section, 9 homes, period, on that entire section. So the density isn't that they're asking for 8 per acre. That means if you took my lot and the 3 around me, you could add 4 more to it. We don't need that much more density across the street, and I don't want to look at a fence right outside my house. So it is a little concerning with the 0 setback and how tall these are. They're going to be able to look right over the fence. What's that fence going to be, 20 foot high? I don't know how tall these buildings are going to be, but they're going to be able to see right over that fence with a 0 setback. And there's turkeys, gopher turtles, all over the place over there. Owls, yeah. It's just, I don't think it's a good idea. Maybe if they had a lot more land there, but that little tiny piece, it just doesn't seem worth tearing up the entire area for that. And the one gentleman is right, all this undeveloped woods, as soon as they go in here and, because I have nothing but snowbirds around me. So when they don't cut their grass, snakes, everything comes, of course, into the yard. When they cut all these trees down, everything's going to come across the street. So they are correct when they say that. But like I said, this second section over here, there is only 9 homes on that entire section. I just think the density needs to be the same. I don't want to see all these roads in here and a bunch of homes. I just don't think it fits. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. You can just say repeat.
Hi, my name's Steve Meckler. I live over on Ponder Avenue, 2 streets up, which I won't see the wall, but I'm very concerned about the wildlife issues. and even more concerned about the traffic on 44, even though the entrance from Terra Vista, each house usually comes up with 2 cars. You play Russian roulette coming out. I have to come out on 44. You can't put traffic lights there at every street, and you play Russian roulette because the cars, it's like tripled over the last 8 years. So you're looking over, they're coming over a hill, and you got to guess, like, are they going fast? Are they going slow? But now you put this many more cars on. They have the issue in Pine Ridge. I wouldn't complain if it was a house per acre. I bought 2 acres. When I first moved down in 13, we moved to Belmont, which is a beautiful area. It had a half acre, but kind of wanted some more woods. So I just oppose that much building on a small area, and the animals have nowhere to go. So that's about it with me. The car issue on 44 and overbuilding our area. So thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good morning, I'm Donna Dorsey. I recently bought the parcel on Access, which I believe is 42110 on the map. It's a 5-acre parcel. Used to be agricultural. They had goats out there. They divided it. My neighbor to my left is the one that used to own it, so it's still agricultural on their property. I plan on building in the next year or two. It's a 5-acre parcel, that's why I bought it. It's a gorgeous area back there.
Excuse me, could we have quiet for the speaker, respect the speaker? Go ahead, ma'am.
It's a really beautiful area, which is why I bought it. And this is just really upsetting. There would be a wall against the whole side of my property with a lot of homes. I mean, that's not what I was looking for when I purchased it. So this is just really not good, in my opinion. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker? Anyone?
I'm not a very good speaker. I'm concerned because
Ma'am, could we have your name and address?
Oh, Eileen Redding, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. And your address?
114 South Scarborough Avenue.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I will be surrounded. I will have a wall on the side of us and behind us. I just think this is terrible. I've lived there 35 years. And like they said, the environment, the owls, the foxes, the gopher turtles, let alone the privacy. We did not have a road that was paved. Okay, a month ago, they came and laid a partial paved road. It's not even paved. I don't know what you call it. Milling. All of a sudden, we've lived on a Lime Rock Road with dust, but now that they want to do this, we've got something. I just think this is terrible, and I apologize for not being a good speaker.
Oh, ma'am, you're fine.
But I would be surrounded. We live at the, I guess it's 14411 on there. And we have family. They live not the lot next to us, but over there I have a little over an acre. They have a little over an acre. You're talking about destroying family, and like the other gentleman said, we've all become family. We've all been neighbors, and we love each other. We care for each other. We protect each other. And there couldn't be anything worse to happen to our community right here. That's why we chose there. Thank you. I apologize.
Thank you very much.
Ma'am, you're a very good speaker.
Very
Okay.
good speaker. You're fine. Okay, anyone else? Please come to the podium.
Hello. My name's Brian Simmers. I have 41 South Scarborough. It's 14140. Next to the last place back on the right, going back Scarborough. The fence. Could you clarify exactly where the fence is going to go? Or the wall? I have concerns of and not really said where. Is it just gonna be the property that he's proposing, or they are proposing, or is it gonna continue all the way on Citrus Hills from west to east on the top of the plan? That
It's
continue
supposed to go
past
around
what-
the entire, but I'm sure the applicant will offer rebuttal after your comments, and
Yeah, okay.
we'll
well,
address the fence.
My question is it going to continue from the east corner of the proposed property to the west, continue on, or to the east, I'm sorry? Go past 14410, I think it's 15 is the address, continue on to Ponder, and then continue to the east, 14144. I can't read it. 14144, and then it says OA, I believe. QA, I can't read it, I'm sorry.
OA.
OA, okay. Is that wall going to continue that way, past there? My biggest concern is what access is going to become of South Scarborough on the north side.
Okay.
Are we going to open up a highway, or back through? And again, back I heard someone had asked about the sewer and water. I got a couple more written down here, sorry. They're my questions. And also, the impact of South Scarborough, if everyone knows, there's no crossover there. So you have to either go west to go to Inverness and go across, or you have to come in and do a U-turn to come back to Scarborough. And that's going to be a major problem. Down the road, I was public utility for 35 years. I know what goes on with developments. Down the road, are we going to have a problem like we have in Inverness right now? Not finished, water problems? That's my questions. What impact is this going to have to Scarborough and the people that live there now?
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Next speaker? Next speaker, going once, twice. Oh, okay, please come to the podium, please. Well, you can fill it out after.
My name is Jacqueline Sams. I've been part of this community for 44 years now.
Your address is?
My address is 183 South Scarborough Avenue. I too will be affected by all of this. Sir, I respect.
Ma'am, could you please address your comments to the board?
I respect his decision on what he decides or thinks that he wants to put there. However, my question is to all of you, what is the point of us growing up here, living, raising our children who are now 21 and 20 years old, attending the Academy of Environmental Science, which is a charter school to teach them about what? What are they out there teaching them? They're teaching them about land. They're teaching them about surveying. They're teaching them about nature. They are also boys that represent Canto High School. I too am not a good speaker at this time, as well as my mother that spoke, but they also have taught in the school system for 35 years and also been part of the nursing and doctor program for the last 40 years. So our children have went off to college. They are baseball players that got their education, have moved forward in Lecanto, representing Lecanto. We're the first people to have buses to bring in from driving to churches to buses from Lecanto on Scarborough Avenue. We're the first people to have veterans who have all come together finally and had a place where we feel like we have a home. I personally have had my own handicap situations where I have enjoyed the nature and knowing that I can personally not just take pictures at a baseball field at the schools with the programs we volunteered through Little League for Crystal River, Central Citrus, Inverness, all of it volunteering, being disabled. There are disabled veterans out there that spoke, that did not mention that they were disabled. I'm just looking to see what it's going to do with the water, because shared wells and the water situations and property lines have already been a problem to begin with, and we haven't received any answers that we've asked those questions about ahead of time. So I appreciate each one of you guys and your time. I appreciate my family back here as well as my family here. But what are you teaching me when these questions are being asked ahead of time and we're not getting any answers? And when my children come back and they're either working for the government or they got another job where maybe they are doing something good within the law of yourselves and wanting to become somebody like yourself. What is it exactly that I'm going to be seeing when I finally now have just gotten my bearings to look out my windows or look out my front porch, and those turtles that are crossing, I'm sorry, sir, but on the land that you're building, all they are doing is taking and burying those holes, and I've personally witnessed it on my security camera as well as my own cameras of just videotaping it just to be out in the yard and enjoy nature. There's all kinds of different questions that I have, and unfortunately, I wasn't educated about this process at this time quick enough to answer or ask the questions that I would look forward to, but my husband did. Our mobile home's going to be asked to be redone. Are we going to ask them
Thank
to
you,
be
ma'am.
made?
If you could conclude your comments.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak on this application? Anyone? Going once, twice? Seeing no further public comment, we will close the public portion of the meeting. Mr. Abel, do you have a rebuttal?
Yes, I'd like to address a couple of them. Maybe I can answer some questions that was presented by the public. Very quickly, I think. I appreciate and respect all the members of the public and their input. I just want to reiterate to the board that we're looking to do the same. I realize they have their homes in the area. It's already built. We want to do the same with our property. We want to be able to develop and improve our property and put houses on it as well. And I realize it has impacts on the environment as well. I think Joanna or the staff at any point should be able to tell you, we always do the right thing, what's needed. I've spent literally more than $3 million relocating gopher tortoises over the years. And it's important to us. We want to abide by all of this. And the larger the project, as Joanna Katu mentioned earlier, as a DRI, we had a lot of hoops and hurdles to go through and over to get to be able to develop at that large stage. And a lot of that is environmental concerns. And we will go through the same the current county standards for development and improvement and state standards for the environmental impacts. And we're not shirking that. I'm almost horrified to hear that the last speaker had mentioned that they're seeing tortoises buried. It's certainly not us. It's certainly not something we do or promote on any level whatsoever. So we tried very hard to do all the right things with respect to environment and development standards. And then finally, from the input, I'd like to address the issues of Scarborough and traffic on 44. It's not our intention to utilize Scarborough at all. Quite frankly, this should relieve traffic that even in a vacuum, if we didn't own it and those properties were developed in their current status as MDR-MH, you would only add more burden on the traffic of Scarborough, and we're literally trying to eliminate that and make all of our traffic be internal to the DRI and go north out to 491 and ultimately Ottawa as well. So,
Ma'am, I'm sorry. Please respect the speaker.
yeah, I appreciate that, but I also want to appeal to the crowd and let them know that it literally is not a dead-end road. We would have internal roads that head north out of there and connect to the DRI north, and it would be a road that goes right to 491 on the DRI, parcel C, and not on Scarborough at all. Okay, that's what I wanted to add or rebut. Thank you.
Do you have anything on the fence?
I think there was also the location of the fence or the wall, and also is there an intention to connect Scarborough to the DRI?
No, we're not trying to connect Scarborough to the DRI. Quite frankly, we're as I just mentioned, we're trying to be self-contained and make this 24 acres, in essence, a part of the parcel C, that it is a thumb, finger, but it is connected and, quite frankly, part of it to enjoy its amenities in and of itself. The fence itself is something we're asking for because we want to distinguish if I want to build a different type home than what is behind it, I want to be able to keep the character, each keep its character. So, if I had a cracker home, and I'd say that with great respect, I'm Mr. Florida myself, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I love cracker-style homes. I live in a ranch-style, cracker-style home. But I want the ability to put homes on the other property, or the other owners of their property want to put on their own style of home, and sometimes those styles don't mesh. And I'd like to be able to have the right to put in the fence. So just because we're asking for it doesn't mean it will go. You know, you can't count on it being put in behind your property, but I do want the right to do it, to separate the styles of development. But if, you know, that being said, I am asking for the right, so you do have to assume that I would put a fence wall to wall around the entire property to separate it. And someone mentioned a fence. We're asking for an 8-foot elevation fence, opaque meaning you don't see through it. It won't be a glass pane.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
At this time, we will bring the discussion back to the board. Before we begin, board, just please indulge me for a moment. I want to speak to the members of the public and just say that I apologize if you felt that your questions were not answered at this time. And what we're doing is conducting a quasi-judicial proceeding, and so we have certain provisions that we follow. I hope that you understand this decision is a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners, and there will be another hearing after this one. So in the meantime, if you have any questions or anything, I would encourage you to reach out to staff who have made the staff report, the Land Development Division, and hopefully they can guide you or provide you with any additional answers. At this time, anybody have any comments from the board?
Joanna, just going back for a second, underneath the existing zoning, how many lots could be built per acre?
I have to look it up because I don't have it memorized. Isn't that awful? Yeah, Joe knows it off the top of his head. It's 4 by right. If you have central water and sewer, you can go higher, up to 8 with a PUD.
So without the PUD, though, just underneath existing?
Without the PUD today, they can do half acre because there's not central water and sewer in this area.
Okay, central water and sewer will allow them to go up to the 8?
Up to 4.
Okay,
And then with a PUD, they can go higher.
okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Facemeyer?
I'd just like to ask Joanna to clarify some of the comments she made earlier about, and we understand, I think the board understands that the DRA is an archaic thing in Florida. You talked about what can be an existing DRI. There are some things they can do, some things they can't do, and you mentioned expansion. Can you clarify that?
Right, so the legislature took out the DRI provisions in the statutes. They left them to default to counties. And so they took out the ability to create a new DRI, and they took out the ability to expand an existing DRI. If that was still in place, that's what you'd be seeing before you, is that formal DRI process and expanding this to this, because they are trying to do citrus hill standards for the most part. But they can't do that, so instead they're adding a PUD and connecting it to the
So they're
DRI,
not
so it's
ex-
technically
They're
not.
not expanding the DRI.
Which they-
This is a PUD adjacent to a DRI.
Because that's the only way they can get there,
Okay,
yes.
no, I understand, I wanted to be clear.
Well, may I ask, so the PUD is an attempt to expand the DRI when there's no ability to do it?
You know my legal brain is going to say no because we can't expand a DRI. But in practice, yes, they're trying to do the same standards. So yes, the DRI would be, the DRI standards are getting bigger, the DRI itself is not getting bigger.
All right, thank you.
Any other discussion?
There was the discussion about the wall. I think Commissioner Facemeyer brought it up as far as, are we looking at a wall or are we looking at a fence? In either case, I think that maybe some plantings in front of this structure, whatever we finally decide, might be worthwhile. That might soften some of the appearance of whether it be the wall or the fence. I have no feelings one way or the other as to whether it be the fence or a wall. I'm kind of interested to hear what the other commissioners have to say.
I personally favor a wall, but, you know, I'm the only one vote here.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Stone?
I think I would support Mr. Bramlett's position
Can you
that.
speak into the microphone?
I would support Mr. Bramlett's position on this, that the requested density is is too high for the surrounding neighborhood. The existing density of an MDR of 4 dwellings per acre strikes me as being more compatible with the existing, and merely because one can request a PUD, that doesn't necessarily mean one is entitled to a PUD. So I think the density is too high for the surrounding neighborhoods, and I will not be supporting this.
Thank you. Any further discussion? None? Okay, well, in this instance, you know, I understand that it's very emotional when you have new development coming in a place where you've lived for a very long time. When I look at the density that is being requested here, I disagree with Commissioner Stone, and I don't know that I disagree with Commissioner Bramlett. I understand what you're saying, and that it is new development in an area where there was not development before, but most of this area being medium density residential, I don't find that 8 is asking too much. I had some concerns about access management because we don't have a full conceptual plan, but I don't know. Other than that, it seems like it'd probably be a good project. Wall's fine.
All right, so if that's, Madam Chair, if that's the case, then should we indicate that condition number 4 would say an 8-foot wall shall be installed around the perimeter of the site? Revise that. And also, does anybody feel the same as I do, that some landscaping in front of it should be required, or are we just not going to worry about that on our level and allow that to be a staff issue?
I'd like to include that, so when it gets to the county commissioners, they can decide if they agree with us or not. But with those conditions that Commissioner Bass indicated, I would be in favor of this application.
Well, I'm wondering what landscaping, you're not talking about, you're talking about wall, then buffer?
No, just something that would soften the appearance of the wall, so you may have some type of low shrubbery or something that just, you don't see just that blank wall in front of you for those residents that are gonna be facing.
Shrubbery, then wall?
Wall, shrubbery, and then the street, so that they will be seeing the shrubbery, and then the wall would be somewhat hidden by that shrubbery.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Royce.
I don't think a couple of shrubs in front of a fence is going to do it. I think maybe some woods would do it. If you have a $500,000 house next to what is already there, both of them are going to look over the fence and see the other. I think that the project, knowing the history of Citrus Hills, is a good project. I don't think that they go into an area to make it, to worsen it. I think they try to enhance it. And I think it probably will be a very good project. However, I would rather see a buffer of maybe 70 or 80 feet of woods with a fence incorporated. Like I said, if we require the same buffer and enhancement that we do for a storage area on 44 or 491, putting up the white fence with some Christmas trees in front of it, I don't think that gets it for me.
So I think that a buffer is not typically required between residential uses, and probably that's why the applicant didn't suggest that, but it is something we could suggest as a condition of approval. What are we talking about? We're talking about buffered and wall?
No,
I think that's excessive.
I'm personally not looking for a buffer, just strictly that wall. If you take a look at what they've done over on Ottawa, they have a wall from their gate, there's their construction gate out to 486. There's a wall, and they have plantings on the wall, so you don't see the wall so much. That is what I would be looking for. I'm not looking for a 30 or 40-foot buffer, just the wall and then something that's either growing on the wall or right in front of it, just to soften the appearance of the wall.
I'm fine with that. I mean, but it doesn't sound like Commissioner Royce is. We need some sort of consensus here.
The only thing I would say is that in these other areas, when Citrus Hills adds, a lot of what they've done has been either encapsulated in what they already owned, and it's bordered by roads, major roads, Ottawa, Otis, and the like. Walls, and I don't know that I've ever seen a wall out there. Most of them are the vinyl white fences, and they do put plantings on the other side of it. But if we're sitting here splitting hairs, deciding what we think needs to be on the side of the wall to soften the look, maybe it's really not compatible for the area. Because, I mean, that particular area out there, it's a really beautiful area. I've lived here my entire life. You go out there, a flag, a finger with a wall, whether it's got plantings or whether it's a fence, it just doesn't fit with the community that's out there. It doesn't. It's going to be an eyesore. You can try and dress up a pig, it's still a pig. So if you're trying to figure out how can we make it less, then maybe it just doesn't fit. And I understand, and I'm 100%, I think most of the board would know that I believe in private property rights. I get that it's MDR. Like Ms. Coutu said, MDR is probably not the right designation for it based on the way it feels out there. It is MDR, so let them do what's allowed. But we're trying to make something feel better that doesn't fit in a particular area. So that's my statement. I'm still against it, and I'm not in favor of it, whether there's a wall or a buffer.
Thank you, Commissioner Bramlett. Okay, going further, then, can we get some sort of consensus here or a motion so we can discuss the conditions?
For the purpose of a motion,
Okay, Commissioner Bramlett.
the Planning and Development Commission finds application number PUD 2023-00012 inconsistent with the Citrus County Comprehensive Plan and the Citrus County Land Development Code, and that this board recommends denial of the application to the Board of County Commissioners based upon the evidence and testimony presented and the staff report and conclusions regarding this petition.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Bramlett. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second by Commissioner Stone. Is there any further discussion?
Madam Chair, I will not support the recommendation for denial. I think that overall, when you take a look at where this property lies next to Parcel C and the product that the developer has built along the way, I think it will look very nice with the existing development. And as I said, I will not vote in favor of the motion.
Okay, I agree. Anyone else?
I agree.
Okay, that's 3. Anyone else?
I agree.
Okay, can we get a new motion then? You want to vote on it?
No, you have
Don't you think we vote on a motion?
Yes, I think we'll vote on it. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
Nay. Okay, so the motion fails 3-4.
Madam Chair, the Planning Development Commission, oops, wait a minute, wrong one. The Planning and Development Commission finds application number PUD 2023-00012 consistent with the Citrus County Comprehensive Plan and Citrus County Land Development Code, and that this board recommends approval of the application to the Board of County Commissioners based upon the evidence and the testimony presented and the staff report and conclusions regarding this petition.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Bass.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
can we discuss the conditions?
we will, and a second by myself. I second that. And now we'll bring it back for more discussion. Let's go.
Sorry.
So I think what we're getting is, some of you are opposed to the fence and just the 8-foot wall. So that's the first thing I think to talk about. Is there a consensus on the people that would be voting approval? Do you care about a fence versus a wall? Do you want to only,
I prefer a wall.
that's one. Anyone
I
else?
agree.
Having my druthers, I would prefer a wall over a fence, but I would still like to see some sort of wood.
Understand, but the idea of a wall versus a
I
fence.
agree with the wall.
Mr.
3 walls.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to defer to you. You tell me, are we getting a consensus on that?
Yeah, wall.
Okay. And next, we talked about the buffer versus not a buffer on the outside of the wall.
I think
I would like to see
Commissioner
a
Bass's idea is not to make a wall and a buffer, but just to make a wall with some
Low-level
plantings,
landscaping.
you know, I'm not a landscaper, but I think some things could be planted there to soften it up.
So basically, this subdivision is going in whether we are say or not.
Sir, I'm sorry.
So if there's nothing else we can hear, y'all already approved it. We're just gonna leave it.
So I'd just like to say that this is just a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners. Okay.
Y'all probably live in Terra Vista somewhere like that.
Okay, thank you. All right.
So I was thinking a buffer outside of the wall or plantings on the wall, or kind of where you're going with. You're not talking about a type C 25 feet, but more of a buffer and plantings can be conveyed to the applicant. Citrus Hills does have a lot of landscaping. I'm sure they can deal with that. It's not specific, but is that what we're thinking?
I'll go along with that.
Yes, something to mitigate.
Softens the.
And Mr. Abel, you're writing this down, I know, so you're getting the idea of we've seen the vinyl even have the outside buffer along Ottawa, for example.
I don't know who mentioned on the board, but there was a mention of maybe an ivy-covered wall.
Right.
I don't think we're gonna have an issue with that from to make it familiar to the population.
So I can convey that to the Board of County Commissioners if that seems to be a consensus.
How do you want to write it in the condition?
I would say the 8-foot wall with outside buffer, outside landscaping or plantings on the wall.
Okay. Is that,
Yep.
okay. Is there any further discussion? All right. Mr. Bass, your motion with the with the changed conditions?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Bass, and I will second that. And if there's no further discussion, we'll take the vote then. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Motion carries 4-3.
And I do want to say for the public, this is scheduled for February 20th at 5:05 with the County Commissioners in Inverness. If you received a notice for this meeting, you will also receive one for the Board of County Commissioners. But also, she's correct, if you have questions, please contact our office. We'll be glad to help you out.
Thank you. You mentioned some
Yes.
additional comments?
Yes, okay, so coming up on next Tuesday, on January 9th, not only do they have the commissioners discuss the Pine Ridge Golf Course, so we certainly had a lot of time on that, but also they will be discussing the expiration of 3 of the members for PDC. Mr. Stone, Mr. Bramlett, and Mr. Bass have all requested reappointment, which we certainly appreciate. This is a very difficult service that y'all do, and thank you for reapplying. So that will be coming up on Tuesday. Your next meeting after this today is February 1st. Despite what the Chronicle says that Chick-fil-A is on February 1st, that's not really what the application is. It's a retail center, and I'm not sure that will be on February 1st, but we will let you know as soon as we can get that packet together. We're meeting with that applicant later today.
So no second meeting in January?
No second meeting in January. We will see you in February, and with the 3 positions that are being considered.
Thank you very much. Okay, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.